What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to talk about a deck that fascinates me. A deck from OP-11 which I think might be good. It's Jinbe. Now, I've seen a few winning lists for Jinbe floating around. There's quite a lot of differences between them, especially with I think the only way to put it is random high-end stuff. Like, for instance, I've seen decks playing the Zorro from OP-06, the one that can attack 3 times, that I very much like. I've seen people playing the Doflamingo from OP-04, which basically turn off your opponent's characters for a turn. I've not seen, and I think it's probably because there aren't enough decks out there winning, I've not seen a real consensus forming yet about exactly the best way to play this deck. But I'm telling you right now, I think we're all sleeping on Jinbe just a little bit. And I think this deck is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. It's a deck that's been slept on, and it's a deck we need to talk about. Now, very important here, this is a green deck that uses Fishman and Merfolk. There is another fishy kind of deck over in OP-11. It's Shirahoshi. Nobody is sleeping on Shirahoshi, because as far as I can tell, that deck is terrible. It's part green, and it's actually part yellow, very much like Jinbe, and it is a deck that might seem to have some similarities, but just to be clear, nobody's playing Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi's terrible. What does Jinbe do? Well, we got 5,000 power, 5 life, and we've got a skill whereby if you have 6 or fewer cards in hand at the end of your turn, one of your Fishman or Merfolk character cards and one of your Don becomes active. That's not too bad. Having a character and a Don becoming active at the end of your turn, you can see why people are kind of playing around. Now, obviously, these high-end cards I've talked about that are neither Fishman nor Merfolk, they will not become active at the end of your turn, and you've got to keep your hand 6 cards or lower, which honestly, most of the time, I don't think is going to be difficult. I think we're going to be okay. Now, in terms of 1-cost cards, we're only actually rocking one here. It is Ikami from OP-06, but it's your generic searcher. On play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, find a Fishman or Merfolk card other than Kami, reveal it, put it in your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Obviously, this is a Fishman and Merfolk deck. So, yeah, we're going to play a playset of Kami. Kami is phenomenal in this deck. This one's quite an easy one. In terms of 2-cost cards, we have a non-Fishman, which doesn't always come around in all of them. But what we've got here is our Don Quixote Rocinante from OP-05. It's a blocker, and on your opponent's turn, if one of your other rested characters would be KO'd, you can trash this card instead. So even rested, it can essentially work as a blocker to stop one of your characters being KO'd. It's a good card, sees play in a bunch of different places. Okay, that sounds good to me. But being a bit more along the lines of Fishmen, we've also got Vanderdecken 9, which is a 2-cost 2k. But on play, you may trash a Fishman card from your hand, or a Noah's Ark card from your hand or field. To be clear, we're not playing Noah's Ark, so we ain't doing that. But you KO one of your opponent's rested characters. And what I really like about this one is you're just KOing a rested character. It's not of a particular cost or lower or anything along those lines. You just trash a Fishman card from your hand to KO a rested character. That's incredibly powerful. And again, we should be playing a whole bunch of Fishman cards, which we obviously are. We have the new Tashigi Smoker, by which I mean Tashigi in Smoker's body. This is the one that just came around for us, at least, in OP-10. We got counter plus 2k, which is awesome. And when your green character, other than Tashigi, would be removed due to an opponent's effect, you can rest this character instead. And if you combine that with a Don Quixote Rocinante, you're like, well, if your opponent tries to KO you, you can trash Rocinante. If your opponent tries to get rid of you by an effect, you can rest Tashigi. This actually gives a lot of protection to the other stuff on your board, which is very nice. Now, we've got the Arlong from EBO2. This is a card we obviously don't have in English yet. But remember, we don't even have the leader yet, so by the time we get OP-11, we will. And free cost 4k. If your leader is Fishman or East Blue, which you obviously are, give a rested Dawn to your leader, and then one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less cannot be rested until the end of your opponent's next turn. I remember there were a whole bunch of rulings about this, but it's all very simple. Anything that would make your opponent's character rest can be used. That could be attacking, blocking, using a skill, anything doesn't work. So giving a rested Dawn to your leader and then also turning off one of your opponent's characters, yeah man, that'll do rather nicely. Now going up into the 4 cost, one of my favourite things about this list is that it plays the promo Jinbe. This was a magazine promo that very quickly shot up in Japan to being more valuable than the magazine from which it came, because it's a pretty playable card and proving it here. 4 cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 2k, and on play rest a 1 cost or lower character. But we've got the resting skill, and we've got counter plus 2k. This is a decent card. The reason it's not seen more play so far is basically because we've just not had good Fishman decks. But if you see like a deck like this, which is very much a Fishman deck, yeah, this will work very nicely. I just like this card. I'm looking for an excuse to play it. We've also got ourselves a Hachan, 4 cost, 4,000 power, counter plus 2k. And here's the interesting thing. It's got a trigger whereby if your leader is East Blue, you can play this card. Your leader is not East Blue. You're Fishman Pirates and Straw Hat Crew. You're not East Blue. So interestingly enough, we're playing this card despite the fact that we don't have a way to use the trigger. And the reason essentially is searchable 2k. We're playing cards that can search Fishman, and of course want to trash Fishman from our hand, and it's got counter plus 2k. And it really is as simple as that. This is a Fishman 2k card. There we go. Simple as. Sorry, I'd love to use a trigger, but that's just not happening. But hey, we got a Jinbe deck. Why don't we play a Jinbe card? How about the Jinbe from OP-11? On play, if your leader is Fishman or Merfolk, rest one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 5 or less, which is obviously working here. And then activate main once per turn. Up to one of your Fishman or Merfolk characters can attack characters on the same turn that they're played. Now, this isn't Rush, because it doesn't let you attack the leader, but it does let you go after characters as soon as you play them. In a situation where they would usually not actually be able to attack at all, they can now attack characters, and that sounds alright by me. Now, up in the higher end here, we've got Arlong, and this is 7 cost 7k, counter plus 1,000. And this card has a -3 cost in hand. If your leader is Fishman, you have 3 or less life, and your opponent has 5 or more rested cards. But remember, rested cards will include Don cards. So basically, wait a couple of turns, and it's a 7 cost. You're going to have to wait a couple of turns anyway, and then you're going to be able to play this card, and it's going to be a 4 cost 7k. That's amazing. Also has a trigger, it rests one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 4 or less. Decent enough trigger, but basically wait until you've got 3 or less life and your opponent's got a few rested cards, which, spoiler alert, they're gonna. And then we're talking about a 4 cost 7k card. I cannot be the only one that thinks this is very good. And obviously I'm not the only one that thinks this is very good. It's in the deck. And this is another one of those where you're going to see different lists flying around of Jinbe. Different people are going to be playing Jinbe in slightly different ways. That's fine. But all the winning lists I've seen here have been playing 4 of these, just like all the winning lists I've seen have been playing 4 of the Jinbe. There are certain cards which you can take in and out of the deck and play around with, but there's others which are just going to make it in the deck. If anybody's wondering, Vanderdecken obviously is a 4 of in all of them. Tashigi Smoker is a 4 of in all of them. These are cards where you just got to. They're just too gosh darn good. So they're going to be a 4 of regardless of what build of the deck you're playing. And then we've also got ourselves the Hody Jones, another 7 cost here. 7 cost 8k with Rush. This is another card that no matter which build of the deck you're playing, this is going in there. Maybe as a 3 of, but it's 4 of in this build. But it's at least a 3 of, if not a 4 of, every time. It's got Rush, and then you rest up to a total of 2 of your opponent's characters or Don. And then you do have to put the top card of your life into your hand, which is a little bit sad. But come on, you're resting a couple of your opponent's characters or Don while having an 8k Rush on the board. Totally worth it, ladies and gentlemen. Totally worth it. This card is fantastic. And then we got ourselves a full playset of the OP-11 Captain Eustace Kid. Couple cool things here. Don X1 on your opponent's turn. If this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack anything other than characters named Captain Eustace Kid. I've already shown you a couple different cards that essentially protect your other characters on the board. Well, here's another one. And what this deck can really basically do is force your opponent to take out what you want them to take out. You choose what you're willing to give up, and that's what you let your opponent have. But then we've also got an activate main once per turn. You may rest this character to play a free cost or less from your hand. And we've got some good free cost or less here, so that sounds good to me. And then I know it seems a little bit out of order, but that's the way they've put it on the deck list, so I'm going to go with it as well. We've got ourselves just a couple copies of the OP-01 Trafalgar Law. It's a blocker that on play lets you return a character to your hand, and then play a character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. But we got a couple of 2k counters that we can bounce up, or we can bounce Cammy back to our hand in order to then replay it and search out another Fishman. So the idea of essentially playing Cammy, doing your search, and then bouncing it back to hand to play a free cost, to then potentially play it back down and search again, that sounds good to me. And then event-wise, just the one in this build, we've got Gum Gum Elephant Gatling, which is a new card from OP-11. As a main, you rest one of your Don to rest one of your opponent's characters of a cast of 5 or less. So yeah, really it's a 2 cost, rest of 5 or less. But it's also got a counter that gives your leader an extra 3k bump during this battle. So it's either a 2 cost to rest a character, or a 1 cost to just give a 3k bump to your leader for the battle. Either way, seems pretty useful to me. So there we go, here's a list as a whole. I think people are sleeping on this a little bit too much. I'm not going to sit here and claim that Jinbe is the very best deck in the format right now, because I don't think it is. For what it's worth, it really seems to be another OP-11 deck, that being Luffy. Seems like Luffy from OP-11 really is the best deck right now. Ironically, it seems like the biggest challenger to OP-11 Luffy right now is EB2 Luffy. It's a bit of a Luffy show right now, the metagame over in Japan. But I'm telling you right now, this is, at the very least, a viable alternative, and that alone makes me pretty excited. But I've told you about all that now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you're taking this deck seriously, tell me if you think it's any good, tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.